Good morning, students. Today we are going to start our syllabus of economics for class 12th. The first unit of your syllabus is introduction. Introduction to economics. What topics I am going to deliver before you, I will write down them on the blackboard. Number first, definition of economics. Number two, subject matter of economics. Subject matter of economics. Number three, economy and its systems. Now, before proceeding towards the syllabus, I want to inform you that before 1976, the subject economics was known as political economy. It was after 1776 when the father of economics, whom we called Adam Smith, wrote his book named as The Nature and Cause of Wealth of Nations. Wealth of Nations. This was first time that there was a proper definition of economics given by the father of economics, Adam Smith. You are also aware that there is not a precise definition of economics which I will dictate and you will write down. Here, there is an economist whose name is Watson. Watson, who says whenever there are 6 economists together, the opinions are 7. That simply defines how much controversy is about the definition of economics. No doubt, the economists have divided the broader definitions of economics into 4 categories. I will explain all those definitions one by one, and I hope you will get a complete knowledge about the definition of economics. As I already said, that the first definition of economics was given by the father of economics, Adam Smith. His definition is known as wealth definition. According to him, according to Adam Smith, economics is that subject which studies the nature and cause of wealth of nations. First and foremost definition of economics. And for a long period of time, this definition was considered to be a good definition of economics. But later on, it was criticized by a number of economists on the basis that Adam Smith has given more stress on wealth. And they termed it as Gospel of Mammon. Gospel of Mammon means science of getting rich. So this definition was criticized, and after this, one more definition which we called welfare definition. welfare definition of economics. This definition was given by Dr. Marshall. This was the second definition of economics given by an economist, how we call it Dr. Marshall, who is known as Dr. Marshall. And according to Dr. Marshall, economics is that science which studies the ordinary business of life of a person. Ordinary business of life. Ordinary business of life. According to this Dr. Marshall, economics examines that part of human individual and social action which is most closely related to the material requisites, material requirements. And this second definition was given by Dr. Marshall, but after a long period of time, this definition was also criticized by the economics on the basis of material, because according to the Dr. Marshall, that only the material things can bring welfare in the economics, but he ignores the another part that we called services. Without services, if we say that we have created welfare in the economy, welfare in the society, welfare in the economy, that will not be right, because services are as important as the material things are. Services means, suppose teacher teaches us the service of an engineer, the service of a doctor. That is totally different. There is nothing material in the service of a doctor, in the service of a teacher, or in the service of any other academic person. So this definition also came into a huge criticism because of Dr. Marshall has given most stress on this material, and this was also criticized by the economists. Then one more definition of economics that was given by Professor Robbins. And this is considered to be the very important, or we can say a scientific definition of economics. According to Professor Robbins, economics is that science which studies the relationship between limited resources which have alternative uses. Three propositions come out of this Robbins definition. The first one is endless, the second one is limited resources, and the third one is alternative uses. Three things. First of all, we all know that human wants are unlimited. Human wants can never be satisfied in an economy. In a society, when one want is satisfied, another one crops up at the same time. So a time never comes when all the human wants are satisfied. So we called human wants are unlimited. But the means those sources by which we are satisfying our wants. Suppose a man is thirsty, he can take glass of water, he can take the glass of cold drink, or he can take any other commodity by which he is going to satisfy his wants. They are very much resources. We nowadays, if we see in the present age is monetary age, so the main source of satisfying human wants is that we called money. And money is always in limitation. You will never find a man or a person or a company or an individual in such a position that whatever he wants he can satisfy with his resources. That will never come. And one more thing, the problem here is the sources which we have, they have what we call alternative uses. A source can be utilized for 2, 3, 4 purposes. Suppose a person has a piece of land. Let's consider This is its source. The piece of land can be sold in the market, first use. Piece of land, it can be used for production, second. Piece of land, we can construct a hotel on that piece of land, or simply we can construct our house at that piece of land. So it means the resource has so many uses. So according to the Robbins, the subject which traces the relationship and thus limited resources and alternative uses which traces the relationship between these three propositions, that subject we called what we called economics in the sense. And this is the third definition. It has not been criticized by the economists, but still one more economist whom we called number 4, the fourth economist whom we called Paul A. Samuelson. Paul A. Samuelson. He gave one more definition of economics. That definition is known as growth definition of economics. Growth definition of economics. Samuelson has simply developed the definition given by Professor Robbins, which we called the scarcity definition, that was developed by this one more economist whom we called Paul A. Samuelson. And you should know that Paul A. Samuelson was a Nobel Prize winner economist. And according to Paul A. Samuelson, he says that economics is a subject which studies how man and the society, with and without the use of money, can utilize its limited resources in order to produce more goods and services which can be distributed upon the consumption of the people and the groups of the people in the society. So simply two things he has increased. He says both man and the society, with and without the use of money. That means Simonson has introduced all the two things. It introduced the barter system and also the monetary system of the economics. And according to the Samuelson, when you are going to utilize the resources of your economy, you have to create more and more out of that we technically call in economics. When you are able to produce more goods and services in an economy at an increasing rate constantly, that we called growth. And so this definition was termed as growth definition of economics. When we have a broad look on all the four definitions which I have explained in front of you, the main conclusion of all these definitions is that economics means making of choice. Making of choice in presence of scarcity. Making of choice in presence of scarcity. This is the main conclusion of all the definitions. Suppose anybody may ask you to define economics, you can simply say making of choice in presence of scarcity. Everyone knows that the means by which we satisfy our wants, they are limited. Human wants are unlimited, and we have to choose. We have to make a choice what want to be satisfied and what want should be postponed. So this is all about the introduction of the economy, or simply about the definition of economics. Now next that we have in our syllabus, that is subject matter of economics. And for the subject matter of economics, if you want to understand the subject matter of economics, I will give you a roadmap which can explain what is actually the subject matter of economics, because you are aware that subject matter of economics means subject matter of any subject means what the subject teaches, what are its different branches. So that we call it. So say, let me show you the roadmap of what we called subject matter of economics. Economics as a subject, it has two branches. Number first is microeconomics. Number second, we have macroeconomics. And in microeconomics, we study product pricing, we study factor pricing, then we have welfare economics. Product pricing, we have theory of demand, and we have theory of supply. Then we have factor pricing. In factor pricing, we have four things: rent, wages, interest, and profits. In macroeconomics, we study theory of income and employment, theory of inflation and prices, and then we have theory of distribution. So dear students, this we call the subject matter of economics: microeconomics, macroeconomics, product pricing, factor pricing, welfare economics. Product pricing, theory of demand, theory of supply, factor pricing, how the factors of production are priced, that is rent, that is wages, that is interest, and that is profits. Then in macroeconomics, theory of income and employment we have, theory of inflation and prices we have, theory of distribution we have. Now come to microeconomics. This is the first portion of your syllabus because your syllabus contains two parts. One is microeconomics and another is macroeconomics. So first, let's come to the microeconomics. If we see the word micro, it has been derived from the Greek word which we called micros. Micro simply means millionth or a small part of a system. When we say microeconomics, then it simply means it is that branch of economics which deals with the small parts of the economic system as a whole. For example, it may be income of a consumer, it may be income of a firm, it may be equilibrium of a person, it may be equilibrium of a firm, it may be theory of demand, it may be theory of supply, or anything else. What we study in microeconomics, that is millionth part of the economic system as a whole. So that thing we called microeconomics. Then we have macroeconomics. Especially in detail, we are going to study macroeconomics after completing the microeconomics. But still, a little introduction about this also. Macroeconomics. Macro has been derived from a Greek word macros, which means large, or which means aggregate. So macroeconomics means that economics which deals with the aggregates it may be the theory of income and employment, it may be the aggregate demand, it may be the aggregate supply, it may be the aggregate consumption, it may be the aggregate production, etc. whatsoever we have in the macroeconomics. So this is what we call microeconomics, this is what we call macroeconomics. If we make a distinction between micro and macroeconomics, simply we can make a distinction between microeconomics and macroeconomics. And this, I have defined this micro, I have defined this macro. Simply we can say microeconomics is that branch of economics which deals with the individual units, as against it macroeconomics is that economics which deals with the aggregates. It micro deals with small segments and macro deals with aggregates. Number 2 point. Point number 2 of this microeconomics. In microeconomics, it has 2 important tools. That is, number first, theory of demand and theory of supply. In macroeconomics, we have the most important tools of macroeconomics, that is the theory of income and the theory of employment. If we say the third thing, that is what we call microeconomics, the third point of microeconomics can be simply microeconomics determines the equilibrium of a consumer, microeconomics determines the equilibrium of a firm, microeconomics determines the equilibrium of a producer. If we say on the other hand, macroeconomics simply it determines the economy's equilibrium as a whole. How we can say an economy is in equilibrium? That is this third point of this. And lastly, we can say, give examples: microeconomics, theory of demand, theory of supply, and macroeconomics, theory of income, theory of inflation, etc. This we have finished. That is definition of economics. Then subject matter of economics. Let's come to this economy and its systems. It is very important because when we are going to study the systems of economy, we have 3 systems, and I will show you how the prices, especially the main important thing, modern age, you are aware, is the age of competition. There are so many producers, there are so many buyers, there are so many consumers, and maximum times people say why the prices are increasing, why the prices are becoming more and more every day. So especially I will show you that in a capitalist economy, that or in a market oriented economy, no one is allowed to determine the price. How the prices get determined, I will explain it. But before explaining it, let us have a meaning first of all of this economy. Just to you study the meaning of economics, that is making of choice in the presence of scarcity. Now let us come to the meaning of economy. Meaning of economy. Economy is totally different from economics. Economy is a system which provides working and living to people during production process. If any system provides you living and working, that system we call economy. If we take the example of DPS Srinagar, it is an economy because it provides work and living to a number of people. So this is also a economy. So this is what we call the meaning of economy. Next, types of economy, or you can say systems of economy, we have 3. Number first is what we called market economy. Market economy. Then we have number 2, central planned economy. This is number 2. And lastly, we have mixed economy. These are the three economic systems we have. The first one, market economy. It is also known as capitalist economy. And if we define this market economy, or if we define this capitalist economy, it simply means that type of economy in which the means of production, that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur, when they are privately owned, that system we called market economy. Or in other words, we can say market economy is that economy in which all the economic activities are run by the market. That we called market economy. Central planned economy, it simply means that type of economy in which means of production, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur, they are owned by the public, they are owned by the society as a whole. So, market economy we call capitalist economy, central planned economy we call socialist economy, and we have mixed economy. If we have a mixture, we have capitalism on one side, we have socialism on the other side, that we call a mixed economy. If we take the example of market economy, that is US economy. If we take the central planned economy, that is Russian economy, or it is Chinese economy. If we say the mixed economy, then we have the example of our own country, that is India. We have government institutions, we have private institutions. That simply means we have a mixed system of economy. Now, lastly, I am going to explain how the prices are determined in a free market economy. Very important question, very important topic. How prices are determined in a free market economy. If we say that in a free market economy, there are large number of buyers, there are large number of sellers, and no one is allowed to influence the price, then how the prices of the commodities are determined? Let's understand how the prices are determined. In capitalist economy, how the prices are determined? Prices are determined by the forces of demand and supply. That means we have two forces. We have two things. Number first is we have demand side. Number second is we have supply side. When we are going to cut a piece of cloth, we need a blade. And when we cut the cloth, we didn't know which one cuts the cloth, whether it is upper blade or it is lower blade. Which cuts the cloth, we don't know. Same is the case when we say the prices, how prices are determined in an economy. They are determined by the forces of demand and supply. This diagram will explain how the prices are determined in a free market economy. Okay, this is y-axis, this is x-axis. Along this y-axis we are going to measure what we called price, and along this we are going to measure demand and supply. Demand and supply. Then we have two curves. We have first one, demand curve, which explains law of demand, and we have supply curve, which explains law of supply. So this is represented by DD, being the demand curve. This is represented by SS, being the supply curve. Here, the two curves intersect each other at, say, point E. So while the two curves intersect each other, the price is determined. That simply means then the price in the market is, let us say this, OP, and the quantity demanded and supplied in the market is OQ. Now the question is, why this is the price in the economy? Why this is the quantity demanded and supply in the economy? Let's consider P1 is our price. Now see what happens when P1 is our price. When P1 is our price, then P1 D1 is our demand. And P1 S1 is our supply. Automatically, when there is excess supply in the market and less demand, the prices will come down. This is by the law of demand, which we are going to study in the lectures to come, in the classes to come, or in the syllabus to come. Then P1 D1 is our demand, because it touches the demand curve here. That means P1 D1 is our demand and P1 S1 is just our supply. See, P1 D1, it is our demand, and P1 S1 is our supply. P1 S1 is greater than P1 D1 by D1 S1. This greater than D1 S1 will force the prices to come down and they will reach to P1. Let's consider P, they will reach to P. Let us consider the next situation. Let's consider this is the price in the market. P2 is price in the market. When P2 is price in the market, P2 S2 is our supply, P2 D2 is our demand. That simply means P2 S2 is supply, P2 D2 is demand. The excess demand and less supply will force the prices to come up. So there is only one price which is determined by the forces of demand and supply, that is OP, and the quantity demanded and supplied is OQ. This price is known as equilibrium price. This OQ quantity is known as equilibrium quantity, because quantity demanded becomes equal to quantity supply. That is all about for today. Thank you.